So with Jesus dying on the cross and raising from the dead and given the new resurrection body, we had the first glimpse, the first bit of heaven invading earth. That in the resurrection of Jesus, in his resurrected body, is the first fruits of the new kingdom, the first fruits of God setting and fixing and healing all things in the person of Jesus. And so those that proclaim Christ now can begin ushering in the kingdom of God, much like how Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, have your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And we as Christians are actually showing, or we ought to be showing, the invasion of heaven into earth. Every aspect of our life ought to be places where heaven is invading earth. And the problem, I would say, is that we have a small view of worship. And what I mean by that is when we think of worship, we think of singing and we think of maybe Sunday morning church service. We don't see worship as all of life. Randy Alcorn had an idea in his Theology of Heaven, a book called Heaven, and he said, if our view of worship is small, heaven will be boring. If our view of worship is large, heaven will be the most magnificent thing ever. And as I thought about that, I started realizing that all of life can be, assuming non-sinful things, but all of life can be worship. A good meal, a good book, studying to become an expert or to know something about a subject, whatever the case may be, worship can be included in all of it. And so I think lots of times when we think about the new heavens and the new earth and the new creation, we actually have a very small view of what that's going to be. And if we are able to blow our minds with imagination and wonder, we can actually begin seeing bits and pieces of it invading earth. Heaven is all around us, but do we have eyes to see it? Do we see it in everything? And then also, how are we actually beginning to usher in the new kingdom? And what this looks like in our relationships, in our friendships, in the work that we do. There's a really neat ministry that's doing some work where they're taking people's guns and they are melting them down into plowshares. Much like Isaiah talked about, these weapons of violence are going to be turned into, when the last days come, are going to be turned into plowshares. They're going to be used for gardening tools. And just little places like that, we can see heaven invading. We can see it in, how are you as a student? What about as a sibling? What about as a son or daughter? Are we actually leaving things better than we found them? Are we showing the world who our God and King is by how we are interacting with it?